What's up, guys? It's the Mudkip Army here, and today I'm going to do a quick deck profile about one of my favorite decks I've ever played called Evols. I'm sure you guys are probably at least familiar with the name, so I'll show you a little bit what the deck is and how it works. So here we go. Alright, first things first, I run 3 Evil Tile Westlow. So he's pretty much the one where the flip effect, whenever he's flipped, you can special summon an Evols from your deck. So just basic, good effect. And yeah, run 3 of him. And next is 3 Evol Tile Najasho. And his effect is, when he's tributed, you get to special summon an Evols from your deck. So basically, there's another card called Evols where it tributes an Evil Tile, and you'll see in a couple minutes how the combo works. And next we got 1 Evil Tile Odonto, and his effects, when he's normal summoned, you can special summon an Evols from your hand. And yeah, just good effect, but he's really, really weak whenever you do use his effect. So unless you can like Evo Force him or something, he's generally going to be kind of a sitting duck on the field, so I only run 1 of him. So yeah, that was all the Evol Tiles, which are the reptiles, and now we'll go into the Evols, which are, of course, the dinosaurs. So next up I run 3 Evols Cerrado. His effect is, when he's special summoned by the effect of an Evil Tile monster, he gains 200 attack, and he gains also a Shura effect, where whenever he destroys a monster, he can add 1 Evil Tile monster from your deck to your hand. Oh, and that's the thing with all the Evols is, they don't have effects until they're special summoned by the effect of an Evil Tile. So that's why we run all the Evil Tiles. Alright, next up are 2 Evols Diplo. Once again, when you special summoned by Evil Tile, you can target 1 set spell, just 1 spell or trap card in general, your opponent controls, and destroy it. So, Walking MST, I run 2, so he's pretty good. Next is Evols Volcano, which I run 2 of also. And pretty much this card is, when he's special summoned by the effect of an Evil Tile, of course, you can target 1 Evols monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but it just can't declare an attack. So essentially, this is an instant Lagia or an instant Lagia Dolka, depending on what's in your grave and what you use to bring this card out. So yeah, I run 2 of him. And the last Evols I run is 2 Evols Elias. He is the level 6 of the deck, and he has 100 attack, 2400 defense, so he's somewhat of a wall. And his effect is, when he's special summoned by the effect of an Evil Tile monster, you can special summon 1 level 6 or lower Fire-type dinosaur monster from your hand. So, say we have this in hand, and we go for Westlow, we flip Westlow, we bring that out, and we get it from the hand. But there's a lot more combos than just that. So, yeah. And the last monster is, of course, 1 effect Veiler, because I like Veiler. But I don't think I really have room for 2. I might have to make some changes with the spell and traps, but right now it's just 1 Veiler's working. Alright, speaking of the spells and traps. So it's just... Alright, starting off we have 3 Evo Diversity. This card is the Rhoda for the deck, and you can run 3 of it. Pretty much just add 1 Evil Tile or Evols monster from your deck to your hand, and the only clause is you can only use it once per turn. That's it. It's an amazing card. So much consistency is added to the deck with this card. I run 3. Now, 3 Evo Force, which, as I mentioned earlier, cards like Najasho, when it's tributed, you special summon an Evols from your deck. This works in tandem with Najasho and any other Evil Tile that's done with its effect. By tributing that Evil Tile, you can special summon 1 Evols monster from your deck. And it is treated as if it was special summoned by the effect of an Evil Tile monster. So all the Evols get their effects from this card. So, say, I'll go into the combos in another video, but there's just so many with this card. And now, another card that tributes is Enemy Controller. So also useful for Najasho. and just for protecting my monsters, going for rank 4s, just a lot of stuff I can do with Econ in this deck. Pot of Duality, just even more consistency. 2 MST. I side in the third. 1 Heavy, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Pot of Avarice, and I know some people are dropping this, but I still run it in this deck, is Book of Moon. And the reason for that is, Westlow is the flip effect monster, and the way I figure is I could have this set, and say my opponent tries to attack Westlow, just flip it face down, then I get its flip effect. So yeah, those are my spells and traps. And no, just my spells. I'll show you my traps right now. So, of course, the traps, we have the Solemn Brigade, 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, 1 Torrential, just 1 Torrential, I just like running 1. 2 seems to be a little overkill. Mirror Force, I might be replacing this with something, but I'll have to see how it tests. 1 Compulse, and 1 Huge Revolution's Over, which I actually prefer to Starlight Road this format. And now the extra deck monsters. So starting out we have 2 Evolzar Lagia. I tend to think 3 is a little overkill, considering like the speed of the deck, but 2 works just fine. So you can either run 2 or 3 of Lagia. It just depends on how much room you want left over after all your monsters you have to have for this deck for other stuff. And 1 Evolzar Dolka. My friend has my Dolka right now, so I'm using this piece of disappointment right here as my Dolka proxy. But yeah, just 1 Dolka. Acid Golem, Shockmaster, great card. I can summon it rather easily with this deck. Utopia, Steelstorm Roach, Vylon de Sigma, possibly my favorite 3 level 4 monster, rank 4. It's just, I like how it gets past a lot of things. Say there's a big, huge wall in their field, you just detach, take it, then there's no more wall. It's your wall now. Giga Brilliant. Just because it's ulti, I like the ulti. Pappy Operative, good card. Maestroke, possibly one of my favorite generics. I kind of prefer Cowboy's pretty good, but Maestroke I think puts in a lot more work for my deck, especially getting around those huge monsters that this deck does have a little bit of a problem against. So yeah, Gemini Pearl. And finally we have 2 Evolzar Solda. And if you're not familiar with Solda, I don't really blame you, because I know Rabbit was the deck that made the Evolzars famous, and Rabbit of course couldn't summon Solda. So I'll just read the effects. So 2 level 6 dragon type monsters, no, dinosaur type, and this card cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has Xyz materials. That line right there is the #1 reason to run this card. It gets by Torrential, it gets by Dark Hole, it gets by Mirror Force, all those effects that are annoying, that destroy things, this card just completely ignores them. And not to mention, like, destruction-based decks like Insectors. Like, when you drop this on an Insector player, they just squirm. Because they try to play around it, they try to play under it, but they can't use their destruction loop, which is so nice. And of course, the second effect is, when your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach 1 material from this card and destroy that monster. That in itself is just like icing on the cake, even though it doesn't negate, which would be just gloriously OP. It still stops them from like having the field presence. So yeah, I really like this card. And you guys, that pretty much wraps it for the deck. So thanks for watching, and if you like this video, feel free to like it, and if you want to see more, subscribe. Alright, thanks. Mudkip Army signing out.